Welcome back, friends, to the shop. Today we're going to be testing the cheapest gas-powered generator on Amazon. Well, I guess we ought to have a look here. A couple things surprised me when I received this. Oh, ouch! I got a Chinese sliver. I've laid out all the accessories that came with it. It actually has a pretty good manual. It's got some interesting things in it, like how much different appliances take, power-wise. This is, I didn't know this came in it. This is kind of nice. When you buy a Honda, this is an accessory that you have to buy extra, or it was when I had to buy mine. I always thought that was a little sore spot for me. So they've included it so you can charge 12-volt batteries with it. We've got these two screws that are here for the handle. They didn't install the handle, so they could put it in a smaller box. And then we have a fairly decent spark plug wrench. Let's take a quick look at all four sides. This is going to be the air cleaner box. And now, when they ship these things, they don't use any fluids whatsoever. So you have to make sure you double check. We don't have engine oil because it's a two-stroke, but we might want to take a look at the air filter. Okay, so there's the air filter right there. Here's the carburetor. So this is interesting. This is supposed to be a 15 amp. Wasn't it a 15 amp, what I read on the box? But it has a 20 amp plug. You can see right there by that little L, that little extra leg there. I don't know why that is. I don't think that this would run 20 amps. We've got a circuit breaker with a kind of a funny little waterproof cover there. We've got our engine off and on. The ignition, here's our choke, which is activating the choke down here on the carburetor intake, and our fresh air intake is here, and then this constitutes the air filter. Now, generally, it's a good idea to oil a foam filter anytime you have one like this. You can, if you don't have anything special, you can use simple motor oil. And the idea is when the stickiness of the oil, when the air comes in contact with it, or the particles in the air, that it will stick to the oil and not go into your engine and become abrasive and wear out your cylinder walls. So any oil will do. I use the no-toil. This is specifically kind of geared for motorcycles because it has a detergent that removes it very easily. If you use motor oil, you have to clean in some sort of a gas or a solvent, which is not a big deal. So before you run these, you'll saturate them. Now, a lot of guys are tempted to use the aerosol can oil. It's a bad idea for engines because they have to add so much solvent that thins the oil to make it come out the applicator that you don't get proper protection. So that's a convenience thing, but the little dirty secret is that it doesn't really protect your engines that well. So wring it out all you can, get everything out you can, and then let it sit and dry out in some fresh air for a while, and then reinstall it. And that, of course, is a do as I say, not as I do, because you guys know good and well I didn't let that dry before I reinstall it because I'm a petulant child. Okay, starter side here, pretty straightforward. We have, I can see it in there, just a plastic pawl arrangement there, very similar to all of our Honda engines, 63cc. I wonder if they used a US spark plug. Looks like it's the Torch brand, which I've not heard of. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to replace that with a US torque wrench. Well, so much for weak Chinese hands. They got that one tight, didn't they? Spark plug, because I've never really looked at one before. And also, we want to put some oil in there. You get one chance at this. I don't know when they assembled this if they used a lubricant in there. Chances are this has been sitting. It came, the long road, took the slow boat over across the ocean, and so all that oil that was originally put in the cylinder, if they did it all, is all settled to the bottom. So when we start this, it's going to be running absolutely dry, and it's going to scorch the cylinders, or score the cylinders, and most likely score the piston. We can mitigate that by putting a little two-stroke oil in there. Yeah, we'll get a little bit of smoke, and it might make it a little bit hard starting at first, but it's going to offer a lot of protection. This will be the same oil, and use a high-quality oil. What's the chance of me dripping that in there? Just wouldn't be an engine video without me spilling. Oh my goodness, look at that. It's certainly not lacking for stickers. So there's one other thing I wanted to show you. It does have a spark arrestor right there. That is low tech. The only real assembly is putting the handle on, and that's Pretty handy. You don't want a generator without a handle. I don't know that I've ever owned a two-stroke generator. I expect, from my experience with two-strokes, is it's going to be loud and it's going to use a ton of fuel. Here's where you guys get a good laugh. I seem to have some special needs when it comes to pouring gas or oil, in that every time I do it, I spill it all over my workbench, especially if it's something really nice that I just built and covered with boiled linseed oil. Well, that's actually pretty easy to use. Could it be? Well, that'll be a first. You see, miracles do happen. I haven't got the lid on yet here. This generator weighs 39 pounds, which is similar to the Honda 1000, but at 1/8 the cost. You could essentially buy 8 of these and have $60 left over for fuel compared to the Honda. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Well, having a generator is better than no generator. If you can't afford a Honda, then maybe it's an option. I missed it. Couldn't get my big sausage finger on there. That's actually pretty good, guys. That's a smooth running little two-stroke engine for being brand new. I let it run for 20 minutes or so, get up to temperature. I should have actually unplugged this before I shut it off. When you shut off a generator, unplug the load before you turn it off. That was my bad. I like it. All right, guys, so what did we learn? What's the take here? Does it give me the fizz? I would tell you this. I like it. I was rooting for it. I wanted it to do well. And when it started so simple and it ran so smooth, and that's not easy for a two-stroke. Two-strokes are, especially single-cylinder two-strokes, can be pretty ratty. When I put a little load on it, like charging the battery, it just settled down and it just ran beautifully, just beautifully. So back to the fizz. If this were $2.99, $3.99 in there, what I would guess, if you were to dump this off on me and say, hey, what do you think about this? I would think the price, I would probably say $2.99. But at $99, delivered to your house, free shipping, it absolutely gives me the fizz. I wanted it to work, and it worked great. Is it a Honda? Is it a replacement for a Honda 1000? Well, of course not. Will it last? What's the longevity of it? That I don't know. But just from my initial reaction and just from what I see, it's way outpunches its weight. Not being inside of it, of course, but it's not a bad unit, and it just runs like a top. It's very simple. There's no throttle to fool with. The automatic throttle, the kick down seemed to work flawlessly. I like that you could charge a battery as well as run 110 at the same time. Now, I ran, that heater was 1,500 watts on high. I ran it for 30 minutes. No overheating, no problems. It seemed to handle that just fine. So what can you run? What can you do at 1,500 watts? Well, there's a chart here that's semi-accurate, but reasonably. You can run a microwave with this. You could run a refrigerator freezer, no problem. And that's really what we're looking at here, right? A refrigerator freezer combo. When the power goes out, you want to be able to do a couple things. You probably want to keep your routers on. maybe your modem, maybe you want to charge some computers, charge some phones, keep that refrigerator, that freezer going. It's probably going to do all of that. It's a very compact unit, but you just got to keep coming back to the price at $99. Unbelievable. I mean, just really unbelievable. I'm super impressed. And it's just a cherry on top to have the little charging cable that I didn't get from Honda. That's always an affront to me. When you pay $1,000 for a Honda generator or 12, whatever those things are, the 2000s, and they can't throw in a cable for charging batteries, that's always, and that was 20 years ago I bought that thing, and I'm still ruminating about it. It's a nice little generator. It appears to me to be the very similar one, or the same one that you can get at Harbor Freight, the Tailgater or whatever it is. The decibels, I didn't find them to be too bad. They're saying 90. At usually 90 decibels, that's about what you can expect from a lawnmower. I typically always put hearing protection on for a lawnmower. I find them to be too noisy. This one, I took it off. Is it hearing safe? I don't know about that, but it wasn't unpleasant. It's twice as loud as the Honda is going to be. So if you don't want to be the guy in a crowded campground that's going to bring a 2-stroke generator into the whole scene. I mean, that's almost as bad as the guy that shows up with a rifle course with a muzzle brake. You know that guy. Don't be that guy. Everyone hates that guy, especially me. But for the home, or for dealing with power outage, or if you're in a remote location, if you just don't have the money, I mean, really, $100 having a generator versus not having one. Pretty amazing. I'm very impressed. What I'm actually thinking, rather than doing the kerosene heater down at the well pump when the power goes off to keep the wellhead from freezing, what I might do is take one of these Wavian cans. Maybe I'll do a video on it. I can show you how to put in a bulkhead fitting like we do in the wildland fires. We actually use similar cans to this as external cans. So what you could essentially do is tap this cap or the side of the tank and the can, and have a 5-gallon reserve tank, and that's going to run, well, 5 times, that's 25 hours. So that would basically give you a 24-hour run time on 5 gallons of gas. Not super efficient, but in an emergency, it's better to use 5 gallons of gas than have a frozen wellhead, right? So I like it. What would I do? A lot of these Chinese things I don't keep. I give them away because they just haven't really been great. I'm not going to give this one away. I'm developing a fondness for it. What I'm going to do to this is one thing that really falls down with the Chinese stuff is their fuel lines are always really bad. So replace the fuel line on it. Go through and tighten up all the nuts and Loctite everything, because they don't properly torque things typically, and replace that spark plug with an American spark plug or a Japanese one. And I think it's good to go. Run really good fuel in it. Be careful. Don't let it sit all winter long with ethanol fuel in it. The best way to store your engines is dry. So if you're done with it, you don't think you're going to use it, pour out the gas, siphon it out, run it till it dies, and then put it away. It's better to store it dry. And if you don't use it, run it twice a year, once a year at least. Run some fresh gas through it and help it along, keep it going. But a nice little unit, a very, very nice unit. I do like it. And at $99, it totally gives me the fizz. Thanks for watching. Keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families, and we'll see you guys on the next video.